listeners. Did you guys miss us?
Sure they did, Ria. Let's go on to the topic of the day. Today's topic is... Ria, you're supposed to come up with a drum roll.
Oh, okay, let's do that again.
Today's topic is... the coral reef.
Coral reefs are tube-shaped polyps that build the coral reef stone-like structure.
Polyps? What in the world are those?
Polyps are actually little, tube-like creatures that stick to a sturdy spot on the seabed and form cups around themselves to make a coral.
I heard that polyps have an interesting way of reproduction, where when they are building the coral reef by stacking on top of each other, they can produce asexually.
Listeners, if you had a chance to listen to the tardigrade episode, then think of it as a similar reproduction with polyps.
Yeah, well, they actually reproduce with the budding or fragmentation, and the baby polyps will basically bud off their parent.
Interesting. My favorite part about polyps, though, is the fact that they can grow their own strong exoskeletons to protect their small, soft bodies. Polyp exoskeletons are actually made from the calcium carbonate found in the water.
That sounds interesting.
Corals can even form islands this way.
Wait, so animals and plants that live on coral islands are walking on skeletons?
Well, I suppose so, as coral islands are made on the remains of dead coral.
Doesn't that sound just a little bit creepy to you?
Well, they have your favorite palm trees and that beautiful white sand you love on beaches.
I am reading up more about corals, and apparently they can be really big too. They can stretch for kilometers. A coral island happens when an island structure is based off the remains of a coral reef, or just partially. Most of the structure is built underneath in the ocean, and the parts you see with the sand and the palm trees is called cay. These kinds of islands can be a chain or just one singular island.
So, what do corals eat? Plants? Animals?
Corals give algae a place to live and grow. These provide algae with CO2, and the algae uses the CO2 to make food using photosynthesis. Did you know that algae provides 90% of food to the corals? The remaining 10% of the diet comes from corals catching prey like planktons and small fish by shooting their prey with the nematocysts.
So, the coral takes all the algae's food, or almost all of it? And what's that Nemo thing you're talking about?
The Nemo thing is actually kind of like a venomous barber thread.
Okay, so do all corals take most of their food from algae?
Actually, deep sea corals don't. They catch all their food because algae can't grow well down there.
Wait, so who lives in coral reefs again?
A lot of animals, as many colorful and smaller fishes, which live in and among the coral reef's wedges and crevices. Hey, did you know that their vibrant colors and beautiful patterns help them hide in among the reefs, making them harder for predators to spot? But like other animal species, their looks, colors, and patterns can also help them attract mates and identify members of their own species. Sponges and mollusks live directly on the reefs, while shrimp, crabs, and lobster hide in the reef's nooks and crannies. With so many smaller fish living here, nature has made sure that there's a good balance in populations, which means bigger predators like sharks also come to the reef.
Wow. That was a lot of animals you just listed there. I read that apparently, depending upon geographical location, the kind of animals change too. Like, for example, in Galapagos, you have these huge marine iguanas that swim down to the reefs to feed on red and green algae.
So, what helps coral animals thrive? The coral?
Actually, it's the plants that live around the coral, such as algae and seagrasses. They provide food and oxygen to the animals that live on the reef. Seagrasses are especially important because they provide shelter for the juvenile reef animals like lobster.
I've been reading a lot about how corals are turning white. Apparently, it's called coral bleaching.
Bleaching? Like the cleaning bleach we use at home?
No! Coral polyps are very sensitive to changes in the water. Light levels and saltiness, too much of heat or changes can make them to eject algae. This process is called coral bleaching. And when this happens, the corals lose their color and also start dying as they aren't getting any food.
Wow, that's actually really sad.
There's still hope. Oftentimes, corals do recover if given a chance. If we can control the changes happening in our environment, then we can give corals a chance to recover.
It will also help the reef if we are practicing safe and responsible diving and snorkeling, using reef-friendly sun protection, being mindful of what we use in our lawns, like reducing fertilizers on lawns that might harm water quality because it washes into waterways and eventually ends up in oceans. Be conscious and avoid purchasing coral if you can buy an aquarium fish. Make sure that it's been collected in a sustainable animal. And finally, most importantly, spread the word about what we can do to help.
Before we end this episode, here's some fun did you knows.
The Bahamas and Florida Keys are made up of coral islands. 25% of marine life has been around the world lives in coral reefs. Corals have been found in fossil reefs that date back to being 500 million years old. 500 million people rely on the coral reef for food. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is considered to be the youngest coral reef system in the world. It's only around 600,000 years old.
Only? Okay, listeners. I hope you had fun listening to this episode. I hope you tune back in to listen to the next episode for some more cool and creatures and habitats.
Bye!